Hey everybody. I realized it had been a while since I've done a general update, and I had some time to kill today on my lunch break, so I thought, let's go do a lunchtime update. So this will just be kind of a leisurely stroll. Of course, there's not enough time to look at every single individual tree, so I just kind of stop at whatever catches my eye and give you a look at it. Some I've done videos on before, some I have not. There's a bunch of oaks and maples. That's my S-shaped maple. I've had it since about 2013 or so. Started as a seed. Back here is my trident maple forest, which looks kind of pathetic at the moment. My Shantung maple. I've had that tree the longest, since about 2009. These are little Honeycrisp apples trees, just from seeds from an apple that I ate one day. That is my green ash tree. And this is a cutting from that green ash tree. It's on about its third year or so. Not bad for a cutting. Got a whole bunch of elms on this side of the bench, mostly Siberian elms. We'll take a look at just a few of them. This is the top half of an air layer from my main Siberian elm. And I've got just a ton of these little cuttings that I've wired in different ways and shapes. This one I did a cascade effect on for some reason. Not sure why. You don't really see that with elms too much, but I guess now you have. And then back here, if I can get to it, is my Jacqueline Hillier elm, which is more on the rare side. I've done a video or two on it. This year, I pretty much just let it grow wild because I'm kind of figuring out which direction I want to go with it. So it looks pretty overgrown. See that big hole in the base there? Only barely got a look at that, but anyways, that's what I'm trying to figure out, where to go with it and what to do. But I call it rare because it kind of is. It was discovered in an English garden in the 1960s, and the owner of the English garden said that they thought some of their family members brought it over from Europe. That's all we know about it. This is my main Siberian elm. This is the one from which all the other cuttings and air layers came from. I dug it up from the side of a sidewalk, or kind of like the crack between a sidewalk and a building, back in 2017. There's a bunch more cuttings in there. There's a Chinese elm there. This is my Siberian elm forest, which I really like. It got a little sick this year for some reason. More Siberian elm cuttings. That one is on second or third year there. And then this is kind of a little, I don't know what I'd call this little station, but there's a Schefflera, clump style Schefflera. And just a bunch of little experiments and cuttings, and I think just random odds and ends would go there. Then he gets a little more miscellaneous over here on this bench. That's my crab apple tree. I got that for $25 at a Costco, just as a fruit tree. Then I bonsai'd it up this year. This is a boxwood Got that for $5 on a clearance rack at Walmart a few years ago. And in the back is my dwarf Alberta spruce. I got that on clearance at a Fred Meyer's for like $10 one year. That is a New Mexican olive there. And here I've got a few, I think that's an apple tree back there. Got a Arctic willow down at the bottom left side there. And that is a honeysuckle right there. And there's some miscellaneous willows of different types, corkscrew willows, and got my little Ficus benjamina cascade, or sort of a half cascade, half windswept right here. Some of those trees, believe it or not, I don't even know what they are. I subscribe to a service where I get some free trees every year from Arbor Day Foundation. And sometimes they're not labeled very well, and other times I just forget what they are, and they just go in a pot. I'm not really sure what they are for the first few years. Yeah, this bench has really become my miscellaneous section. Here's my juniper. Had that since about 2017. Doing well. Then here's a Ficus benjamina that I've never done a video on it, I don't think, but it's sort of slowly turning into a decent little traditional upright. We'll see. Back here's a catonister. Currently, I think it's my only catonister. Did a video on it in the spring, and it almost died. It lost all of its leaves, and it stayed that way for, I want to say, a couple of months. And then it just came back to life. Which is not the first time a catonister has done that with me. They play dead for a while, and you kind of forget about them, and then they just sort of come back. Back in there, I've got a couple of willows. There's a willow fusion right there that I'm working on. I call it Mega Fusion. And that's another corkscrew willow and a bay willow. And this table is mostly tropicals. Scheffleras, ficus of different type, pomegranates. There's a plumeria that we got in Maui. First, we'll look at the pomegranate because right now it's got all these flowers and it just looks great. Pomegranates look best this time of year. One of the only trees that really flowers, one of the only trees that I have at least, that flowers late in the season. And here's a little humble tiger bark ficus. Haven't done a video on it, just been growing it as sort of a traditional upright a little bit. Someday it'll get its own video. This is the top of an air layer from my office bonsai, Ficus benjamina. This was my $40 Costco ficus I did a video on a month or so ago. It's doing great since repotting it. Couple more left on this bench. This was my first bush to bonsai. I've done 3 of them. This was number 1. sort of like a pom-pom style. I just made that up, but that's what it reminds me of. That's my little olive tree. Probably one of my slowest growing trees. This is a willow leaf ficus, a clump style willow leaf ficus that I've really let it grow, and I should probably trim it up. I like this little guy. And last but not least on this bench, my S-shaped tiger bark ficus, if I can get it around the sprinklers. I did a video on it recently, but it's bouncing back really well and it's nice and healthy. So just thought I'd give you a quick look at that. I'm happy with its direction. Needs to fill out some, but that will come with time. Then I have over here another section of just kind of randomness. Some cuttings or trees that were, I don't know, needing some TLC, I guess. This area gets a little more shade on this side. So first up, I'll show you, I did a video maybe a month or two ago on a Siberian elm air layer, and this was it. If you saw that video, you would see that it was on the verge of dying at one point. But it bounced back over here in its little TLC area. And here's a couple of privets. Did a video on these earlier this spring. I just trimmed them up recently. And they're doing good. They're just nice, subtle little bonsais. They're not super flashy. And then there's some other randomness in there. There's a Japanese maple and a couple of banyan ficuses and a whole bunch of cuttings back there. Or a tree that I just recently repotted. I'll stick it back there so it gets mostly shade for a while. And then for the last bench, this one is also tropicals. I think I end up with more tropicals than anything because you can propagate them so easy. And I'm kind of a sucker for propagating trees, so that is my bush to bonsai number 3. Sorry, we kind of skipped over number 2 back there because it wasn't too much worth looking at the moment. Number 3, I repotted this year into this pot, and boy is it heavy. I'm gonna not mess with it too much. But it looks a lot better in that pot than the last training pot. And then I've got a handful of little pomegranates, and this is one, a few others. That's my lemon cypress. I haven't really done anything with that in like a year. It's kind of wobbly in its pot still, so if anything, I should just repot it into some new soil because I don't think the roots are really spreading out. That's my office bonsai, Ficus benjamina. Actually just repotted that, which I'll do an update on it specifically in the near future probably. That's my main willow leaf ficus right there. It got a major makeover recently. If you want to see the video, it's posted out there, but yeah, I won't bother explaining it. It was a major reconstructive surgery, put it like that. But it bounced back. And this is just a random little 2 little leaf ficus. Just a cutting that I stuck in a pot one day and then it just grew. And then I've got some other ficus fusions back there. And there's another pomegranate. All those pomegranates, all of them started as cuttings. There's the bottom half of the Siberian elm right there that I did the air layer from. But that's it. I just wanted to give a quick update and show you how everything was doing. Everything is going okay. Thanks for watching. Have a good rest of your day.